Valentine's Day, a day etched in our calendars as a celebration of love and affection, a day for chocolates, roses, and stolen kisses, but beneath this veneer of romance, a darker current often flows. The very same emotions that can elevate us to heights of passion can, in their absence or distortion, drive us to acts of unimaginable cruelty. Yes, my friends, Valentine's Day, often associated with love and affection, has also been the backdrop for some chilling true crime stories. Like a predator stalking its prey, darkness can descend even on the brightest of days, twisting love into a sinister force. Join me now as we delve into the heart of these chilling tales, exploring the cases where love's embrace turned deadly and Valentine's Day became a tragic testament to the fragility of human life. The year was 2001. In Oklahoma City, under a sky heavy with the promise of a Valentine's Day snowstorm, tragedy struck the affluent home of Dr. John Hamilton, a respected obstetrician-gynecologist. Dr. Hamilton himself placed the frantic call to 911, his voice trembling as he reported a horrifying discovery. His wife, Susan, lay lifeless on the floor of their bedroom, a scene of unimaginable violence. The life had been brutally extinguished from Susan, a woman known for her warmth and kindness. Strangled, her delicate neck bearing the mark of two of her husband's own neckties, her skull bearing the marks of unimaginable blunt force trauma. The snow fell silently as investigators swarmed the scene. Dr. Hamilton, his face a mask of grief, recounted the evening, claiming an intruder had broken in while he was out, but something about his story didn't ring true. The evidence told a different tale. No signs of forced entry, no other fingerprints but theirs. Whispers began to circulate, whispers of marital discord, of Susan contemplating a life apart from the man she had pledged to love. The investigation dug deeper, unearthing a hidden truth. Susan, it turned out, had confided in friends, expressing fears, doubts, a longing to break free from a marriage that had lost its way. And so, the spotlight shifted, the lens focusing on Dr. Hamilton, the grieving husband, now the prime suspect. The evidence, like pieces of a macabre puzzle, began to fit. Fast forward to 2013. The world watched, captivated by the story of Oscar Pistorius, the Blade Runner, a Paralympic champion who had seemingly overcome all odds. But behind the image of triumph lay a darker narrative, one that unfolded on Valentine's Day in a Pretoria, South Africa bathroom. Riva Steenkamp, a model and law graduate, was found dead in Pistorius's home, her life tragically cut short by bullets fired through a locked bathroom door. Pistorius, the man who had once captivated the world with his athleticism, was now at the center of a murder investigation. His defense? A tragic mistake, he claimed. He had mistaken Steenkamp for an intruder, firing those fatal shots in a moment of terror. But the prosecution painted a different picture, one of a volatile relationship, of an argument that had escalated into a fatal confrontation. The trial became a media spectacle, the world transfixed by the unfolding drama. The Blade Runner, once a symbol of hope and resilience, was now a symbol of something far more complex and troubling. The judge, faced with a complex web of evidence and conflicting testimonies, ultimately found Pistorius guilty of culpable homicide, a verdict that sparked outrage and debate across the globe. But the story didn't end there. The prosecution appealed the verdict, and in a stunning turn of events, the charge was upgraded to murder. Oscar Pistorius, the fallen hero, was sentenced to 6 years in prison, a sentence that many felt did not fit the crime. February 2007. In Washington Township, Michigan, Tara Lynn Grant vanished. Her husband, Stephen, reported her missing. He claimed she stormed out after an argument. Days turned into weeks, and the community searched. But a sinister truth emerged. Stephen became a person of interest. His story crumbled under evidence. Dismembered body parts were found. Stephen was arrested and confessed. He was sentenced to 50 to 80 years. Chapter 4. Blood on the Asphalt. The St. Valentine's Day Massacre. Let us now journey back in time to 1929 to the heart of Chicago during the tumultuous Prohibition era. The streets, rife with gangsters and bootleggers, were a battleground controlled by rival factions vying for power. On February 14, 1929, a date forever etched in the annals of crime history, a chilling event unfolded, forever known as the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. It was a time when Al Capone's notorious Southside outfit waged a bloody war against Bugs Moran's Northside gang. The air crackled with tension, the threat of violence an ever-present specter. On that fateful Valentine's Day, 4 men, disguised as police officers, entered a garage on Chicago's north side, a known hangout for Moran's gang. Inside, 7 men stood, unsuspecting, their backs turned to the door. What followed was a scene of unimaginable brutality. The disguised assassins, armed with Tommy guns, unleashed a hail of bullets, cutting down the 7 men in a shower of blood and spent cartridges. The victims, caught completely off guard, never stood a chance. The garage, once a place of camaraderie and illicit business, was transformed into a bloodbath, the walls stained crimson, the air thick with the scent of gunpowder and death. The St. Valentine's Day massacre sent shockwaves through the nation. It was a brazen act of violence, a chilling display of the ruthlessness of organized crime. Though never officially linked to Capone, the massacre bore all the hallmarks of his handiwork, a calculated message to his enemies. Chapter 5. A restraining order couldn't stop him. The murder of Tiana Notice. The year is 2009. In the quiet town of Plainville, Connecticut, 25-year-old Tiana Notice, a promising graduate student, should have been celebrating Valentine's Day, surrounded by love and laughter. Instead, she found herself trapped in a nightmare, stalked by a man who refused to let go. James Carter, Tiana's ex-boyfriend, was a man consumed by obsession, his love twisted into a dangerous possessiveness. Tiana, recognizing the warning signs, had ended the relationship, seeking refuge in a restraining order. But a piece of paper offered little protection against a man determined to exert his control. Carter, fueled by rage and jealousy, violated the restraining order repeatedly, his actions growing increasingly bolder, his threats more menacing. On Valentine's Day, Tiana's worst fears were realized. As she returned to her apartment, Carter lay in wait, his eyes burning with a deadly intent. He attacked Tiana in a frenzied rage, stabbing her multiple times, leaving her to die on the cold pavement. The murder of Tiana Notice sent shockwaves through the community. It was a stark reminder that domestic violence knows no boundaries, respecting neither restraining orders nor pleas for mercy. Carter, apprehended shortly after the attack, was brought to justice. The evidence against him was overwhelming, his history of stalking and harassment painting a chilling portrait of a man driven by a deadly obsession. He was convicted and sentenced to 60 years in prison, his freedom extinguished for a crime fueled by a love gone terribly wrong. Chapter 6. Love and Death in Charlottesville. The Death of Yeardley Love. Our final story takes us to the hallowed grounds of the University of Virginia, where the promise of a bright future was tragically cut short. Yeardley Love, a vibrant 22-year-old lacrosse player, had her whole life ahead of her. But in the spring of 2010, her story took a tragic turn. On May 3rd, just days after Valentine's Day, Yeardley was found dead in her off-campus apartment, her lifeless body bearing the marks of a brutal assault. The investigation immediately focused on George Hughley V, Yeardley's on-again, off-again boyfriend and a fellow lacrosse player. Their relationship, it turned out, was far from the idyllic campus romance it appeared to be. Behind the smiles and public displays of affection lurked a darker truth, a history of volatile arguments, jealousy, and physical abuse. Witnesses came forward, recounting instances of Hughley's controlling behavior, his explosive temper, his possessiveness over Yeardley. The evidence painted a disturbing picture of a relationship spiraling out of control, culminating in that fateful night when Hughley, fueled by rage and alcohol, took Yeardley's life. The trial was a media sensation, the nation captivated by the story of love, betrayal and violence in the seemingly idyllic world of college athletics. The jury, faced with a mountain of evidence and harrowing testimony, found Hughley guilty of second-degree murder. He was sentenced to 23 years in prison, his freedom forfeited for a crime that extinguished a young life full of promise. Chapter 7. A haunting reminder. As we emerge from the shadows of these harrowing tales, we are left with a profound sense of unease. These cases serve as grim reminders that even on a day dedicated to love, tragic and violent events can occur. The very emotions that can elevate us to heights of passion can, in their absence or distortion, drive us to acts of unimaginable cruelty. Love, in its purest form, should be a source of joy, comfort, and security. But when twisted by obsession, jealousy, or rage, it can morph into a weapon, leaving behind a trail of devastation. Let us honor the memories of those we have encountered on this journey by speaking out against violence in all its forms. and by fostering a world where love, in its truest sense, can flourish.